Hello students, let's start another chapter of class 5, Our Glorious Past from the book Headlights. So in this we are discussing that our past was so good. Uh, the people living in the past, how they used to live in such a very nice, disciplined way. Let's start. It's like the first thing in which here we are discussing is the Indus Valley civilization, and another thing is the Gupta period. The Indus Valley Civilization was the first known civilization of the Indian subcontinent, spread over a large area comprising parts of Pakistan and India. It is named after the river Indus, along the banks of which it flourished. Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, and Rakhigari were a few of the largest cities of this civilization, and it existed roughly between 3000 BCE and 1500 BCE. See, there is a map which is given down, and always whenever you are studying social studies and when it related to geography, always keep a map with yourself. See, this was the area, it has been written, this is the Indus river coming from here. These are all the tributaries of Indus: Jhelum, Ravi, Satluj, right? A main at present only a part is present in India, and the main part goes to Pakistan. So initially, when the whole was India, so this was the area which has been shown here where people of Indus Valley civilization lived. So this is a very fertile area because of the presence of rivers. This was one of the major reasons that why the civilizations were always near the riverbeds. One of the two important cities which have been written here are Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, and another one is the Rakhigari. See, if you see the map, it's given. Here is Harappa, here is Mohenjo-daro. Now we come to the timeline. Timeline is also very important. When did the Indus Valley civilization exist? It existed from 3000 BCE and 1500 BCE. See, can you see the timeline? It has been given. So this timeline is also important. See, when we mark the years, we always start backward from 0. This is the red mark which has been given. So you move backwards. So 1000, 1500, 2000, 3000, and from C we go. C stands for the common era. We move front, like this is 1000 and now it is what, 2025. So this is how we are moving forward. So can you imagine, it was so old. We are talking about the Indus Valley civilization. Now, for thousands of years, the ruins of the Indus Valley civilization lay buried under the ground. In 1920s, archaeologists began excavating near the Indus River and uncovered the vast city of Mohenjo-daro. See, there are people who deal with the old things. They are called archaeologists. They study what was present in our past. So excavating matlab nikala khudai karke, and they found out that this was a city which was where people lived long ago. Over time, additional cities and numerous artifacts have been unearthed. It is only because of these artifacts discovered by archaeologists that we have been able to discover and understand the ancient Indus Valley civilization. Okay, so here see the full form has been given in this pink box. BC stands for before common era, meaning all the events that took place in the BCE are counted backwards. For example, like 400 BCE, to calculate how many years before now the event happened, we add 400 to the current year. Right, so we are moving backwards. As like I said, it starts from 0. If it is 1500, you have to count 1500, and if this is 2025, then that was the time plus 1500 when it ended, and at 3000 it started. This map is important regarding Indus Valley civilization. Now let's go to the next page. Gupta period. Another very important period was the Gupta period. Now this is started after the common era, as you can see in the timeline. The Gupta rulers, they ruled over 200 years from 320 to 550 CE in the northern part of India. See, this is the area where the Gupta period was, the Gupta rulers were present. Patliputra was the capital of Gupta Empire. One One mark question. The Gupta rulers were great patrons of literature, science, art, and architecture. Therefore, the Gupta period is also called the Golden Age of India because of tremendous growth in the fields of science, maths, medicine, art, literature, and architecture, which we are going to study afterwards. So, this is also one question, why it is called the Golden Age of India? Because art, architecture, mathematics, medicine, everything flourished during that period. So there are certain kings who give a lot of encouragement to these types of streams. So that is why. So see, whatever was done, it is a given to India, due to which we say that yes, India has a very glorious past. So, Indus Valley civilization, Gupta Empire had a flourishing economic system. Now, what do you mean by economic system? Means the flow of money. They made significant contributions to the field of mathematics, astronomy, and metallurgy, the ones which deal with metals. That is called the study of metals, metallurgy. Now, they were skilled builders and great engineers. How do you come to know whether they were skilled or great? Because of the monuments, the structures which they had built. Even now, people cannot build those type of structures which they had built in olden times. So this shows that how intelligent, and they were really, really very intelligent, that they could make such type of buildings. Now, the first we are going to read about is Indus Valley civilization. Now, how people used to live there. Now they are saying that they lived in the first cities in India. They were excellent town planners. Their towns were planned and built better than many of the modern day towns. See, all necessary services were arranged according to the convenience of the people. The cities were divided into two parts, upper and the lower town. The upper town was built on a raised platform and was higher than the lower town, which had a citadel. The public structures like the Great Bath, Assembly Hall were found in the upper town. So this is how you are going to write. If they say write the town planning of Indus Valley civilization, so it had upper town and a lower town. Upper town means it was slightly on a higher platform than the lower town. So there were public structures like Great Bath and the Assembly in the upper town. See, the pictures have been given of the Great Bath. Granaries are the places where grains, in those times when the cultivation was done, the excess grain was to be kept at places which are called granaries. They were the most important public buildings. In the citadel, they were close to the river so that grain could be transported easily. See the thinking and the intelligence. Yes, so when you are storing, they knew that they had to be transported. That is why it was built near the river. Now, why do you need granaries? Because see, suppose there are famine days when there is no rain, or there are times when you need more extra grains, food is required, so they need to store it. So this concept was present even in the olden times. Now, the citadel also had a great public bath. Now, they are saying that this bath was used for special occasions. Now, how was it built? Like this, you have these big swimming pools. The public bath was world famous for its excellent engineering. It was made watertight by using a layer of bitumen. Another one mark question. It is believed that the general public used this bath on certain special festivals and ceremonies. This glorious period of great buildings and engineering skills of the Indus Valley period remained unparalleled for a long, long time. So, see the timeline, that when did they exist? During that time, the people used their skill and intelligence to build these type of structures, which is unparalleled. It really needs a lot of engineering skills. Thinking of building a great bath like structure, that too it has to be watertight. Otherwise, see, if without being this, if the water is stored, it will seep away. Now we come to the lower town. Lower town had residential buildings, so all the main important things which were kept in a slightly higher area. This was also important so that if there is excessive rain, at least those things are remained undamaged. Now, lower town had residential buildings where the common people lived. They had advanced grid system of town planning and sanitation. Grid means like you cut lines parallel lines when cut, vertical and horizontal. Now we will read and we will come to know how. Houses were made on both sides of the street. You must see these photographs of the houses on Google. You will come to know how beautifully they were planned. Now, the characteristic features of the houses: sun-dried or baked bricks. During that time also, the bricks were used to build the houses. Entrance of the houses was from the side streets. Why? So that it prevents crowding on the main streets. See the intelligence. Each house had a well to draw water from, and a kitchen and a bathroom with sloping floors. See, even this, that the kitchen and the bathroom should have a sloping floor, this concept, this shows that how intelligent those people were, so that the water can move by itself, right? So this is very, very, very important. The sloping floors allowed water to move into the narrow drains built along the kitchens and the baths. So even in those times, they used to have proper drainage system. From the kitchen, where will the water go into the drain? So they need to have a proper drainage and the slopes. From there, the drainage, from the narrow drains, the water was carried where? To the main underground drain built on the side of the roads. The drains carried the waste to large pits built outside the city. They were covered with stone slabs, and then they were inspected and cleaned at regular intervals by removing the stone slabs. See, so what are they trying to tell? They are basically saying that again the intelligence and the skill of the people of Indus Valley civilization was so high and so good that they knew that this is how people have to live. Even today, you will see there are so many places which do not have a proper drainage system if you compare. But see, so many thousands of years back also, they are still having those drains, and they have proper houses made of bricks, and they also have this concept of having a side street for the entrance so that the crowding does not take place. And they also keeping the drains covered. Why? To prevent any smell, the bad odor coming out. This is also one. And also there might be germs even at those during times. They, if they keep it covered, so they are preventing the flies coming there. So they are covering it with the stone slabs, and so that they can remove it also for the inspecting and cleaning at regular intervals. So this idea is so nice. Now we come to the streets. What happens to the streets? Now the streets were constructed in straight lines. See, can you see? And cut each other at right angles. The streets were built in this way. Why? Why? See, can you see the straight? And then they were the another street coming from the right or left side and cutting each other, so that they can be cleaned on their own by winds. They were also rounded off at corners to let the bullock carts turn easily. See the concept that even when the streets were made, when you are taking a turn, it has to be slightly rounded, because at that time you did not have those cars. So when you are using the bullock carts, so when the animal is also turning along with it, the cart is turning. If it is exactly at very sharp corners are there, then it is difficult to manipulate. So that is why the rounded off corners, so that the bullock carts can turn easily. So even this concept shows their intelligence. The streets were also made of bricks and had a lighting system. So whatever is there in class 5, even this much knowledge shows you should be proud of India and its past, that how glorious our past was. Architecture under the Gupta. Now these were the examples of the Indus Valley. Now let's come to the Gupta period. What did they do? The Gupta kings were famous for building the first freestanding Hindu and Buddhist temples in India. Freestanding means generally what do? We have those pillars everywhere in between to provide support to the roof, but they used their brains and the technology. They tried to make those structures which did not have pillars. So they were the first one to build them. They made square and flat roofed rock temples. So initially the temple's shape was square and the roof was flat. And later on, what did they do? they started using stones and bricks so that they can make circular walls and rectangular and square temples with towers built over their roofs. Now you have just flat roofs like the houses, but if you make towers over it, they were using those stones and bricks for that. See the development slowly. Initially, they were using the flat roofed rock temples and then they used stones and bricks in order to further make it superior. So, this was also the beginning of the magnificent stone structural temple architecture that used strong materials. So, the material which was used improved, and they were known for making these structural magnificent stone structural temple. One of the picture which has been given on the right side is that of the Dashavatar temple at Diogar, which has towers, is a famous temple built by the Gupta kings. It is made of stone with sculpted wall panels of 10 avatars of Lord Vishnu. You must read about this, about the 10 avatars. It is so interesting. So, which have been painted here, sculpted here, the wall panels of the, in the wall panels of this famous Dashavatar temple. So, there were 10 incarnations of Lord Vishnu, and these 10 avatars, they have been sculpted here. So, Lord Vishnu lying on the serpent Sheshnag on a wall of Dashavatar Vishnu temple. So, they see, this also tells you so much about your mythological stories, and it feels really amazing reading these stories. You must read about Lord Vishnu 10 avatars. The Gupta temples had beautifully carved pillars. Now they are also telling that they also had this pillars which were carving was done. The walls and doors were decorated with the images and figures of gods, goddesses, humans, and animals. Though the Gupta Empire lost its glory by the end of 6th century, their contribution to Indian architecture will remain forever. So definitely you can say that this is so nice that during the Gupta period, the kings encouraged this architecture, and we have those magnificent temples built during that time. So there, this is a contribution to the architecture. Definitely, suppose if the question comes, the contribution of Gupta Empire in the field of architecture. So you can write about this, about the temples, and so some of the questions. Streets of Indus cities have rounded corners, I said, for the bullock carts to move. Indus Valley had an advanced drainage system. Yes, it definitely had. You have to explain the drainage here. That they had sloping floors. Then the narrow drains carried the wastewater to the main underground drain. And the drains were then, these drains then carried it to the large pits outside, and they were covered by slabs. Short note on Great Path. What was it made of, where was it located, and then why was it used on what occasions. Gupta temple architecture. In Gupta temple again, which we just discussed, everything regarding the initially it was stones, flat roofed rock temples, freestanding Hindu temples, then they made towers over the roofs. Example you can give of Dashavatar temple. Now we come to science and mathematicians, scientists and mathematicians, right? Humans have the potential to manipulate nature to their advantage. This desire has been responsible for the contribution to science, maths, metallurgy, medicine, surgery, trade, and commerce. Definitely. Now let's start with the metal and metallurgy. Indus Valley people knew about almost all the metals except, filling the blanks, iron. They knew how to make bronze by mixing copper and tin. That is why it is called Bronze Age civilization. Another question. See, I am doing all the questions side by side. Why it is called Bronze Age civilization? People of Indus Valley knew how to make bronze by mixing copper and tin. From this bronze, they made many objects like statues, tools, weapons. That is why it is called Bronze Age civilization. This was Indus Valley, right? Now, what happened in Gupta period? They knew iron. The iron pillar in Delhi, built by Chandragupta II, is a testament to ancient India's knowledge and skill. The pillar is there for 1600 years, but it has still not rusted. This is such a magnificent thing. If you go to Delhi, you must see this. See, there is rain and there is moisture, still iron pillar has not rusted. So the technology which they have used is just amazing. Now we come to science and maths. See, here we are going parallel. Like for metals, Indus Valley, Bronze Age, Gupta period, iron. Now we come to science. Indus Valley had a good knowledge of mathematics. How can you say this? They used uniform weights made of special stones. These weights were used for measuring the weights of different objects. So, presence of weights in Indus Valley during Indus Valley civilization. Gupta period, Aryabhatta was a great astronomer of the Gupta period. He gave astronomy a scientific viewpoint. Now, he discovered zero, a very, very important invention not only for India, for the whole world, right? So, see the contribution made by India in the field of this science, maths, architecture, which is even recognized by the entire world. So, you must always be very, very proud of your country. So, two things here which is given about Aryabhatta. First, discovery of zero. Second, without any scientific instruments, he found out the exact time taken by the earth to rotate once around its own axis. Okay. So about the rotation he could found out without using any instruments. So this is a very, very big contribution. Varaha Mihira was another scientist of that time. He wrote a book on science called Brihat Samhita. Here it is given about it. What is it? It is an encyclopedia which associated with various subjects of human interest, especially planetary movements, astrological science, eclipses. So here the question is contribution in the field of science by during Gupta period. You can give these two examples of Aryabhatta and Varaha Mihira, or contribution individually can be asked of the two scientists. Now we come to medicine and surgery. Now they are saying that during Indus Valley civilization, plants, animal products, and minerals were used as medicines. See, this is even used now, the concept of Ayurveda, and it is considered even better than the English medicine, right? Dentistry was also practiced during Indus Valley civilization. And during Gupta period, let's read. Takshila was a world famous university renowned for science, especially medicine. Surgeons of that period could do eye, ear, and nose surgery. See, during that time also they could do all these type of surgeries. And they could also treat and restore many injured or lost body parts, setting of fractured and broken bones. And there were this concept of hospitals also to take care of the sick. The doctors practiced Ayurveda or natural cures to treat patients. See the knowledge of our past kings. It was so good during those times that the concept of medicine and surgery existed even so back. Sushruta was most likely the first surgeon to perform plastic surgery. In his book Sushrut Samhita, Samhita means collection. He described surgical methods of bone setting, cataract removal, plastic surgery. See, these are the very important questions, like which type of medicine was practiced? Ayurveda. Who was Sushrut? Which book did he write? What did he write about it? Then what was done in the contribution in the field of medicine and science and surgery during the Gupta period? Right? All these questions can come from this. Trade and commerce. See, what is trade? It is buying, selling, exchange of goods. So this was present even during the Indus Valley civilization and also during the Gupta period. Now, how do we come to know? Trade was well developed in the Indus Valley and Gupta Empire. The remains of the dockyard at Lothal in Gujarat prove that sea trade was flourishing even during Indus. Because see, this is an ancient dockyard at Lothal in Gujarat. A picture has been given which shows that sea trade was present. People used to trade. Then there were presence of Harappan seals and artifacts in the Mesopotamian civilization and objects from Mesopotamian. There are others. See, we are talking about Indus Valley civilization, which is a civilization of India. Similarly, there might be civilizations around the world. So they are giving an example of Mesopotamia and Egyptian civilization, that trade used to happen between these civilizations. How? Because if Harappan seals can be seen in Mesopotamia, and from there the people used to come and here trade in India, so their seals will be seen in Harappa. So this shows there was an exchange of trade. See, you have to remember this यहाँ पे regarding the Mesopotamian civilization. Here, this part was the Mesopotamian. This is the complete Indus Valley civilization, right? This one. And this part was the Mesopotamian civilization. Traders of different towns and cities of Indus Valley exchanged. Now, what were the products? Now, they are telling cotton, wheat, food crops, pots and animal products, tools, weapons, ornaments with each other. This was mainly used to go from India to others civilization. And what did they buy? Copper, tin, gold, silver and other costly metals from Mesopotamia. See, modern Iraq it is written. Iraq, Persia, which is modern Iran, Oman and Afghanistan. Always keep a map. See, this part is the Mesopotamian civilization. This is here Iran, it is showing Oman and Afghanistan. This one, this portion. And this was our Indus Valley civilization. See, can you see, here was the Indus River coming and these were the tributaries here. Now what in the Gupta period? Gupta period, traders of Gupta period sold cloth, food grains, spices, salt and precious stones to different parts of India and the world. And they bought gold, silver, tin, lead, silk and horses from the countries in West Asia, Europe, Southeast Asia like Java, Sumatra. These are the island countries which are present down. And then Cambodia and China. They sold pearls, precious stones, silk, perfume, spices, indigo, drugs, coconuts and herbs to these countries. So the trade is like something, if you have, you are, see, the trading is given by the sea route. This painting shows. So the products which were bought and sold, these can be asked. Then we have a strong economy in the ancient period must have led to an organized social structure and a good standard of living. So when you have a good economy, like we always keep on talking, India is having a good economy as compared to world these days, even during the time of recession. What does it mean? It means that the flow of money is there, the money is present. So if you have money, you have a good standard of living. So even those times in ancient period, we had a strong economy, so we had a good standard of living. So India was never a poor country. India was technologically, culturally, socially advanced and economically self-sufficient. So why we say that India has a glorious past? Because of all these things. We had a very strong economy. We were very advanced. You can see in terms of architecture, in terms of township planning, way of living, everything was really very, very advanced. Even technology, the concept of science, medicine, surgery. So if the question is why do you think, then yes, we think that this is true, that India has a glorious past because of the India was technologically, culturally, socially advanced and economically self-sufficient. And you have to give all one line of examples of, say, Indus Valley and this in terms of, first you can say science, architecture, towns, planning. So it inspires us to work towards taking India to greater heights. So you should always be very much proud of your country, that we belong to a country which had a very glorious past, and we were actually very rich socially, culturally, economically, in all the forms. Now we come to question answers. See, again those 1 mark questions, as I said. Capital of Gupta Empire, Patliputra. Now you have to remember this. Public buildings were located where? Upper and lower में क्या था? The residential places were common people used to live. Dashavatar temple is of Lord Vishnu. The houses were made of baked bricks, and the Gupta rulers were located in the northern part. So Indus Valley is the first known civilization of Indian subcontinent. Use of baked bricks. Then we had the Gupta period uh, freestanding, which temples, Hindu and Buddhist. Bronze Age and use of iron. Remember this: bronze was in Indus and iron was in Gupta. Who discovered zero? Aryabhat. This you can do yourself. Everything has been given. Mm, Let's go to the main questions. Largest cities of Indus Valley, I said Harappa, Mohenjo-daro. Contributions of Gupta period in the field of science and maths. This we have already discussed. Everything we had discussed. See, you and always try to write in points. In the field of science and maths, we have those examples of the scientists. You can write and the name of the book. Contribution of Indus Valley and Gupta period in medicine. See, in this, what you have to write is okay. See, in Indus Valley, you can write use of plants, animal products, and minerals were used as medicine. Number two, dentistry was practiced. Then we come to Gupta period. Takshila was a university for especially for medicine. Number two, surgeons performed surgeries like eye surgery. Concept of hospitals were there. Then you can write about Shushruth, the first surgeon to perform plastic surgery. So all these 3 points you can write. Indus people lived a highly civilized and developed life. Yes, true. Civilized, why? Because this concept of town planning was there. They divided their towns into upper and the lower towns, public structures in the upper town, lower town. Then they had a very good drainage system here. So everything shows a civilized way of living. So what is basically civilization? See, even the definition is given. It is an advanced state of human society in which a high level of culture, science, industry, and government has been reached, which they used to follow. So everything shows one by one the use of concept of upper town, lower town, well-built houses, use of proper streets, uh, bricks, drainage system. Everything showed a very good advanced town planning. So this shows that people definitely were very much civilized and had a developed life. How do we know that trade and commerce were flourished in ancient India? This we had done. Presence of this, see, the picture has been given. Ancient dockyard at Lothal, which shows number one. Number two, presence of seals, Harappan seals and artifacts in the Mesopotamian civilization and objects from there to the Harappan sites. So this shows that it actually flourished and there were trades which were present. Then we come to imagine that you were born in ancient India. So, life was really good at that time as compared to now. No TV, no laptop, everybody used to sit and talk. So, if I am born in ancient India, the achievements of that period would have been your favorite, my favorite. See, you have to give reason also. You can say, I will say about first is medicine and surgery. uh, Staying fit is most important thing. So having an advanced system of medicine surgery is really desirable and in fact very very important, essential part of life. So this is one very important achievement. Secondly, this concept of granaries is also very good because if there is a famine, you have food stored. So this is very important achievement. All the achievements which have been given are very very important. The concept of zero, otherwise there is no maths without zero. So it does not mean just studying, but see, the concept of zero is important. Otherwise, how are you going to even weigh the weights and measurements which had been used for trading, which is very important. Trading helps to improve the economy. If there is no trading, then not possible. So all these things were important. So you can write whatever is given in the book. So these three, I believe, are very, very important. Then give reasons why the drains were covered with stone slabs, definitely to prevent any mosquito and germs building up breeding grounds, and also to prevent any bad odor coming from there. It looks good also to have a planned system. It is more civilized. Bathroom and kitchen had sloping floors so that the water can move on by itself to the nearby drains. Gupta period is known as the golden age of India, definitely because of the contribution in the field of math, science, architecture, and then you write one point correspondingly. Like architecture, the we had done the temple, very beautifully magnificent temples made during this period, like the Dashavatar temple. Then the concept of science by Aryabhat, zero, and this. So that is why it is called golden age, because so much of discoveries and development took place, which is even renowned now, and people, scientists are even thinking how did they happen. See the presence of iron pillar which did not get rusted. So these are the achievements. So that is why it is called the golden age. Anything else in this? No, I think we have done this chapter. These are the two very important questions: why golden age, and basically they are asking the contribution and achievements during this time. That's it. Okay.